Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining me this afternoon as I take over Art Plus Magazine's Instagram Live. I'm here to talk about museums in Manila and how COVID has affected them and how they will probably be in the post COVID world. This is an important topic to me because I've been working for museums for more than 20 years now, and it's really an industry that I love. And a lot of my friends are here, and I think we're doing something important to the society. So, hi, thank you for joining me tonight, to this afternoon, despite the weather. And thanks, Art Plus, for giving me this platform to talk. Okay, so museums and COVID. Museums are like most of. Hi! Wow, hanggang Negros. Thank you so much for joining me. Yeah. Okay, so museums are like most public institutions and most spaces where people congregate. We're like schools, malls, and public transport that way. We rely on the presence of the public in order to exist. Our main reason for existing is to keep significant objects safe for the public so that they can view it, they can experience it, they can interact with it. And COVID makes it really difficult for us to do just that because it's so easy to catch the virus if there are a lot of people there. Museums cannot function the way that they used to. So, before go forward, I'd just like to talk about museums in general. Um, Here in Manila, we could classify museums into four types according to funding. And those four types are varied in degree to vulnerability to COVID. There are public museums that are funded by the government. So we have the National Museum, the National Art Gallery, and we also have, for example, the Marikina City Museum or the Pasig City Museum, which are funded by the local government. The taxes of the people allow them to exist. As long as there are people who pay taxes, probably they'll continue. Yeah, and there are also school museums which are funded by tuition fees, and a lot of the good museums here are like that. We have the UST Museum, so mga taga UST dyan. We also have the Ateneo Art Gallery, the Vargas Museum, and MCAD, which are all funded by the students who use them. And then we have private museums that are funded by large corporations. The Ayala Museum is a prime example, and we have the Lopez Museum, the Yuchenko Museum, and the new mega world museums like the Chinatown Museum or Ilomoka, the biggest modern and contemporary Philippine art museum in the country. So, lastly, we have small museums that are privately funded. Museums like Fundacion Sanso, of which I belong to. There's also the Bencab Museum in Baguio, the Orlina Museum in Tagaytay. All of us, the small museums like that, rely on funding that we generate, that we self-generate through either admission fees or sales of merchandise. And I think we are especially vulnerable because of COVID. Without public going into the museum and buying tickets or buying goods, buying shop products, we won't be able to exist for long. Um, the 2 months already put a strain on many of the private museums. For example, the Orlina Museum has had the misfortune of having to cope with the Taal volcano eruption, which disrupted their operations for more than 2 months, I think. And they were only open for 2 weeks, and then COVID comes in and they close again. So that's hard for them. Uh, there's also like a lot of different things that are happening. We're lucky because our friends at the Mega World Museums Ja Kabato. Hi, andyan ka ba? Sana nandyan ka. Beverly Tan and Yuriko Chumura made a survey during the lockdown, at the early part of the lockdown. In the third week of March, the Mega World Museums, through Janine Kabato, routed this survey, and it was answered by 19 museums in Manila. And I'm going to focus on what they found out, particularly on the economic aspect of the survey and on how ready are museums to go online. Okay, going on the economic part of museums, the 19 museums, when they are combined, employ 300 staff. During the time that the survey was routed in March, one museum already started laying off some of their staff. And 2 months into the lockdown, because it was extended, I know of other museums that are contemplating the same thing. For us, we were very proactive about the situation. Fundacion Sanso, the staff all decided to have pay cuts. Sorry, I'm so not used to talking like this. Anyway, because of the pay cuts, which ranged from 10% for the lowest salaries to 35% for those who have higher salaries, we were able to amass enough for 1 month more of existence. As a small museum, which is raising its own funds, Fundacion Sanso is able to have a 6 month buffer. And we were very lucky to have that. But because the lockdown was extended, we are already feeling the strain because 2 months with no income is not an easy thing. To be honest, the Metropolitan Museum in New York laid out 81 staff as of April. And for such a big museum with such big budgets, and for them to lose staff, that's saying something about what's happening. Okay, at the onset of, in the survey, 80% of the museums said that their funding is now jeopardized because some of them rely on venue rentals, education programs, donations, and merchandise sales. But the great majority, those that are contemplating letting go of their staff, rely on public visitors, particularly school group tours. Because of COVID, school group tours will probably not happen within the next 6 months or even probably the next whole year. And that is putting a lot of the museums at risk. Some museums also, after the lockdown is lifted, cannot open fully to the public. For Fundacion Sanso, example, we are a very small private museum. We do not have the space to really be viable with visitors. Pinto Art Museum has the space to be able to retain and keep their visitors because they have such a big area. Even if you have 6 feet of space around you and the next person, they could still have a lot of people there. So it's true with Ayala Museum, but the smaller museums will have a problem after the lockdown is lifted because of social distancing. In the survey, going back, okay, I'll slow down, sorry. 85% of the museums anticipate that they would need some form of government funding to be able to continue to operate after the lockdown. The NCCA has been able to release some funds for museum staff, and even the informal ones, yung mga contractuals. And a lot of the museums already have received that. Museum workers received that, but I don't know. I'm not aware of any form of government aid to help museums really operate. So, with many companies also going to close down, donations will surely go down as well. So that will be something that will be hard for even the big private museums. Oh, so in conclusion, it's going to be hard for museums to exist in the next 2 years. During the Asian crisis, it took around 2 years before things could normalize. COVID really changes the way things are. So I think we will have a harder time this time around, and we will have a longer time to cope with the situation. Okay, the next portion of the study was the preparedness of museums to go online. When COVID happened, a lot of the responses were to migrate services online. So for similar institutions like art galleries, they started online exhibitions, and the CCP has released a lot of its content online to be able to keep its relationship with its audiences. But in the study that was conducted, in the survey that was conducted by Janine Cabato and her peers and her colleagues, of the 19 museums, only 60% of them had websites. Even less had Instagram or YouTube. But thankfully, all of them had Facebook. On the matter of online exhibitions, only half ever tried it. And only one third even used online platforms to create educational activities. Of the 19 museums, there are only 4 that have a dedicated staff to engage with people online. Around 10 have staff that do other things on top of the social media and online presence, while 4 of the museums do not even have any person to create a continuous presence online. Okay, so what does this mean? It means that we're really not yet ready as an industry here in Metro Manila to go online, but that's something that we can actually fix in the next few months. Speaking of online, I will be shameless and plug something for Fundacion Sanso. We before the lockdown happened, we were lucky because we were already planning of in bringing Fundacion Sanso to schools around Metro Manila. We were not in the center of things, not like Ayala Museum and on the other museums. So we tried to create virtual exhibitions through 360-degree videos with the help of Jericho Inyel. And during the lockdown, we were able to upload that on our Facebook page. There's also this upcoming June 1 exhibition. Our very first curatorial grantee, Dr. Dayang Iraula, is helping us mount an online exhibition of Sanso's Cliché Ver. And we have Annie Pacanya, Tad Ermitanyo, and the Children of the Cathode Ray who are helping us do this exhibit. So it's something that is a first for us, and I hope you'll join us on June 1. Please like our page on Facebook and our Instagram so that you can always be updated. And we will also be having online lectures, our very in-demand art handling workshops, which we used to conduct in our physical space before, will now be made free online on our Facebook page by Veronica Fuentes, one of our staff. So those are things that we are doing. But other than that, we're also looking forward to the next year and the next 2 years for the safety of the staff, because we are so small. The physical space is so small. And for the safety of our visitors, we are considering not having physical exhibits for the next 6 months to 1 year. We're really thinking of just strengthening our online exhibitions and our publications. And then we will be using the physical space to offer new things for our audiences, such as better framing services and conservation, and even storage of art, so that we can serve you in different ways that will still be observing social distancing protocol. Um, Other than this, currently we are strengthening our online shop and soon even our authentication services, hopefully. Okay, but what does that truly mean for museums to become online? The the premise of museums is really you're a physical space with real objects and real people interacting with these objects in this particular space. Now that social distancing has made that almost impossible or uh, at least not desirable, will that mean that photos and videos of the objects and the write ups that we make to describe them will be more important than the objects themselves? What does that mean to the public? What will our what will our new audiences be? How will we interact with the objects that we used to keep, uh, that we keep for you? Um, what does it mean for museums? So to imagine an answer for this, I look at mass media. Actors and their audiences used to be confined to the theaters, but with the advent of the cinema and television, actors and their audiences were able to transport their activities to cinema houses and to the homes of the people. So there's this democratizing aspect to this new thing that's happening, which is probably a good thing. Um, but I think, as with the earlier wave that happened of migrating from one platform, the real world, into a digital world, the bigger players, those that are funded by big corporations or by the government, have a greater chance of staying. So their physical presence and their online presence will still remain. But for many smaller museums, probably if they do not have the budget to go online and the skills to go online, a lot of the smaller museums will fold up. Yeah. Um, Another aspect of this phenomenon is that we will likely use free platforms like Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, which would also mean we will have to compete with other uh, other players which were not competitors before. What am I saying? For example, we will have to learn how to brand ourselves better so that we'll gain more online following. Barack Obama has 117 million followers as of May 1. He's followed by Justin Bieber with 111 million. The closest museum, I think, is the Museum of Modern Art, which has 5.3 million. It's super far away. Uh, I think right now we don't have the means to engage the way they do. These people, like Justin Bieber, probably tweets every hour or every 2 hours. We don't have the capacity for that, but maybe we can in the next few years. So, in closing, because I know we have only a few minutes more to go, um, I think that if museum boards, museum staff are not quick to adapt, or unless we don't find a vaccine for COVID real soon, smaller museums will not make it in the next 3 to 5 years. Um, that's why, yeah, that's why yeah, I think we need the public support at this time. Okay, I'm open na to questions. So, hello everyone. There's this. Oh no, what am I doing? Sorry, go live. Sorry, I didn't know what I pressed there. Okay, any questions? I'm so not used to this. So, pasensyahan nyo na it's my first time to go live like this, I'd really appreciate it if you have questions so that I could engage with you. Otherwise, we could close shop early and give our next speaker, Eya Torado, time to prepare. Because she will be preparing for her 6 o'clock, 6 o'clock takeover. Yes, Richard, you're right. The game has moved towards content. Yes, and hi Arthel. Hi Raul. Thanks for tuning in. So, uh, I'm open to questions or even suggestions. Yeah. Okay. I guess that's it. How will Fundacion Sanso accommodate authentication requests from now on? Thank you so much, Beatrice Gallery, for this question. We're actually trying to streamline the process so that probably 60%, 80% of the preparation will be online. And then those who will have their works authenticated will just bring the work there for a few days for our committee, for our panel to see. And we will reduce the time probably for this. But please give us a few more months because this is all new to us. Art history classes would be interesting to attend. Yes, that we're planning to do that, and we're actually going to partner with some museums in Cavite to do this. So the online world is making it possible for us to do that. Okay, Arthel says even moving the platform to the digital sphere still has its challenges. How will museums earn from that? I'm assuming the content is free. That's something that we haven't figured out yet. But I think that for us, the strategy will be to create services that are still relevant in the real world, such as conservation, authentication, or framing, and use the online presence to really keep our audiences and to grow it. So, because the current technology that we have, with the current equipment that we have, will probably be limited by that. When we reach the 100,000 mark, Arthel, we're probably going to do YouTube channels na din. Okay. Hambert can help us promote. Yeah, sorry I couldn't bring Hambert here. I know he will take more of an audience than me. So, yeah, I moved to another condo with a better signal just to be able to give you this talk. Hambert will have his own channel and he will help us promote, and if he earns something, he will donate it to the museum. Are there plans to publish the museum's collection? Definitely. Yes, Richard, definitely. So we're already going on, we're already trying to tag the digital images that we will be generating so that it will be easier for people to access the collection and study it. So I think that way we will be bridging our goal of reaching out to the audience and retaining our educational value. Andy, hi Sir Ricky, for the support system that the public can provide to help, financial, etc., how can museums make it sustainable? I think that we just need help for the next few months. All of us are learning to cope with this situation, and some of the museums are really already short on their cash because for the last 2 months we have been paying the staff, we have been keeping everything in check. But the next few months will be a few months of adjustment. So if the public can also help with that, that would be so good. Okay, the good news is that German museums are opening up. Yes, sanitation and hygiene are observed. Yes, they just reduce the number of people at a time. Yes, I agree with that. And I think the bigger museums really can do that. For smaller museums, we will just have to reduce the number of people and also schedule perhaps. Yeah. Thank you so much. Jay says museums should also see this as an opportunity to understand the audience attitudes that we couldn't capture before. When many are intimidated by museums and are not willing to pay admission fees. I agree with that. Jay, I so agree with you. But I really think that we'll have to learn how to engage with them the way social media influencers have done it before. So more content, consistency, creating a brand, creating something that people look forward to every day. I think that's how I think it will be. Yeah. Hannah, thank you. Perhaps small museums can open themselves to small student groups as long as physical distance is strictly observed. Yes, I agree. I agree. That's very true. But I think that volume of small school groups will not be able to sustain the operations. That's all I'm saying. So we will have to find our funding elsewhere. Yeah. Okay, did I cover everything already? Okay, any museums here or abroad that you consider have smart safety practices in place? Well, not yet right now. Here, I mean locally, because we are not yet open. However, I know all of us will have to abide by the IATF's protocols, and I think that will be enough. But in terms of abroad, museums in China and museums in Germany are doing a great job. Yeah. Can your conservation team restore paintings with collectors that have been degraded? That's something that we are thinking of because it's a service that many people require. Yeah. And it's another way that we can actually be relevant to our audiences. Yeah. All right. I guess that's it. Wait. The cafe serves good food. You need to deliver as well. Thank you, Richard. We are already delivering food. The Cafe Sanso actually opened 2 weeks ago, and we have been delivering both cooked food and food that you can cook at home. So please check out the Cafe Sanso and the Fundacion Sanso pages. We have the numbers that you can call for your Cafe Sanso needs. Yeah. Okay. Yes. I guess that's it. It's 5:27 and thank you so much for joining me today. I know it's a very specific topic and I really appreciate that you took the time to join me on this. Please stay tuned at 6 p.m. Eya Torado of Daloy Dance Company will be online. And thank you. Stay safe. Art Plus, thank you for giving us this chance. Bye. Thank you.